Looking a little bit more closely at our linear functions v1 of t and v2 of t, as we said before, when t equals 0, v1 of t is -3. Well, t equals 0 on the y-axis, so that we see that our y-intercept of this function, if we're graphing not y versus t, but v versus t, is -3. And the t-intercept occurs when v equals 0. So we set this equal to 0 and solve. We get 0.02t equals 3, and then t equals 3 divided by 0.02, which is 150, which gives us this point. So we have these two intercepts, and we join them with a straight line. Then we do the same for this function. When t equals 0, this is -4, so there's the v-intercept of this linear function. And if we set 0.04 t minus 4 equal to 0, we get 0.04 t equals 4, t equals 4 divided by 0.04, which is 100. So the x-intercept of the v2 function will be here, or the t-intercept, and we have this. So here's our v2 of t function. Here's our v1 of t function. And of course, we have to understand linear functions well enough to construct this graph if we're asked to do it. Now, we then asked, when is v1 of t equal to -2, and when is v2 of t equal to -2? Well, if I use the scale that I marked here, we see that those times are pretty close. And it turns out that when we evaluate or solve the function, just coincidentally, the times are exactly the same. So these graphs cross at t equals 50. Now I marked 50 right here. So, these graphs aren't great. They're hand-drawn. I'm still fudging a little bit. But v1 and v2 are both equal to -2 when t equals 50. Now, if we go up to this graph, and let's look at what happens when t equals 50. Well, that corresponds to this point on this graph and to this point on this graph. And those two slopes should be the same, but clearly aren't. There's something a little messed up about that, but I'm not going to ponder it too hard. You can think it through. What I was going to say is the velocity is the rate of change of the function. So either there's something wrong with my graphs, and that's entirely possible, or something's wrong with mathematics. And that's not possible. This is actually quite simple mathematics once you get to a little more advanced level. So I don't know what in the world might be going on here, but I'm going to stop and think about it for a minute.